I'm going to now ask my producer to show you the intraday chart of Kotak Mahindra Bank. The reason we're putting that stock also in the spotlight is, remember, today is the deadline of the Reserve Bank of India for Uday Kotak and promoters to be meeting the stake dilution. However, there's been a span in the works with Uday Kotak and Kotak Mahindra Bank taking the unprecedented and bold move of taking the central bank to the Bombay High Court. That was earlier in the month. At the heart of the issue is a preference share issue that had taken place by Kotak Bank earlier in the year, which the RBI, when it was being governed by Urjit Patel, the helm of affairs, had said that is not, the preference issue will not be counted as a stake dilution. And that's why Kotak Bank had gone to the Bombay High Court. The hearing is next on January the 17th. So what happens to this deadline of the promoters having to cut their stake to 20% by the end of today and by 15% by March of 2020? The day of the ruling, and when the Bombay High Court did not give a stay, a lot of experts on the channel, Pankaj, if you remember, had said that the de facto new deadline could very well be 17th of January to see what happens next. Because by then, the Supreme Court was already in vacation mode, and the new Chief Justice of India, CJI Gogoi, has ruled that there can be no urgent mentioning unless it's a matter of life and death. So I'm guessing this case doesn't count for that. So let's take this conversation forward and talk about it with Sandeep Parekh, the founder of Finsec Law Advisors. Hi, Sandeep. Good afternoon. Many thanks for joining us here on New Year's Eve. I take it you're working as we are while a lot of folks are out on holiday. Having said that, you know, Kotak in 2018 had taken this bold, unprecedented move of moving against the central bank in the Bombay High Court. I don't know if this is the first time. It's certainly a very rare instance. So is it a correct reading that maybe the next day to watch out is indeed 17th of January simply because the Supreme Court is shut and urgent mentioning is not possible during vacation period?
Yes, I don't know if urgent mentioning is usually possible in the Supreme Court. I mean, we've seen midnight hearings also happen, but this is not a fit case for an urgent hearing. So my guess is nothing is going to happen till they kind of wait till the next hearing, the High Court. Again, my guess would be that RBI will have to kind of
Sandeep, the reason I brought up the urgent mentioning is because the new Chief Justice of India has said it's not possible unless it's a matter of life and death. This is not a case of life and death.
That's exactly what I said. So if the facts were so, they could have heard it, but this is clearly not something which can't wait. Given the other case, which is Bandhan, RBI has taken action for not meeting the norms of dilution. So one would expect that they'll take similar action against Kotak, which is, I think, by itself not very penal. It's essentially stopping increasing of branches and also some kind of freeze on the promoter/CEO pay, etc. So I think it's not a very harsh consequence. So I think Kotak is probably kind of banking on that it's not going to be anything different from what they've done to Bandhan. And if, of course, it is in fact more harsh, which is unlikely, then they will probably have to kind of again file some kind of application before the High Court.
Right. Can you just tell us that, within the next 20-30 days, you expect to hear a corporate action from Kotak? I mean, if it is not going to happen the way they have proposed it, they'll have to sign a MOU or, probably offload some shares in the market or give out a process to RBI, which could be quite handy for them to believe that voting rights would come down soon.
Again, the numbers are quite large, so I don't see something happening in the next 15-20 days. It will probably be a more staggered and longer time period. So I won't expect Uday Kotak to start selling in the stock market in the next 10-15 days because, again, the numbers would be so large that the stock prices would get hugely affected. So my guess is they would be finding alternative large investors, international and domestic, so they can place the securities without having a huge impact on the stock price. But again, that's a guess, and maybe, I mean, they start with a smallish kind of dilution in the market itself, and then subsequently look for other investors.
Sandeep, if you look at today's newspaper's front page or what we are running on our channel, will RBI wait for High Court ruling? Question mark. Isn't the RBI already waiting for the High Court ruling? It's 12:15 p.m. on 31st of December. If the RBI really had to say something, wouldn't it have done so already?
Yes, really. I think see, this matter has been placed before the High Court. Kotak has asked the High Court to intervene for the interim period, and the High Court has refused. So there's nothing really further which needs to be done, except, as I said, what is the quantum and the nature of the penalty has to be mentioned. And that cannot be mentioned today, because as of today, they are in compliance with the law. So it will have to wait for tomorrow morning when they are in breach of the law. And therefore, the natural consequences of that breach will flow. And as I said, they've tried the High Court route. They've failed it for the interim measure. And therefore, RBI will almost certainly have to pass some kind of measure similar to what they did with Bandhan Bank.
Right. What are the options that probably, Kotak has? Just coming back to that issue, what are the, options that, Kotak has? But what do you think is the best case scenario or the best option that they have, which is probably even fast in terms of, how they want to execute?
Essentially kind of two options. One is, of course, on 31st of January, they get a reprieve and High Court stays this, which is given the the way the wind is going right now with the High Court, I don't expect that to happen. Which means that Kotak should, Uday Kotak will probably have to dilute his stake either in the secondary market, which will be a smaller number, because I don't think the entire stake can be offered in the market. And parallelly also look for large investors like Warren Buffett or some large international investors who can pick up a huge stake. Yeah, but again, that's also always subject to diligence, etc. So that's a 2 to 3 month long process. It's not. I don't think you can expect anything to happen in 15 days or 1 month from now.
Right, Sandeep. Thanks so much for taking out time for us.